And I must tell you that I've been an artist at heart since I was a child. And since then, I've been like a professional Kathak dancer. I did Kathak for almost 17, 18 years of my life. I was an avid painter, an enthusiast at dancing and elocution and presentations and painting. And art was the only thing that I wanted to do. Knowing my passion for fabrics and colors and accessories, where I used to drag my mother through all the smaller stores in Pune, trying to look for the right fabric, the right fit, the right pattern, and coordinating with tailors since I was a child doing my own clothes. I think that kind of translated into me preparing really, really well for my entrance exam to NIFT. And thankfully, I stood fourth in the country. I got selected in the top center at NIFT Delhi, which is also affiliated to FIT New York. There was no looking back from there. I felt like I had this huge responsibility on my shoulders because although my parents decided to let me go, they weren't very supportive of the fact that 20 years ago I had chosen fashion as a profession. But they said, okay, do what your calling is. And I thought that responsibility made me really give my best to all of my education, my subjects, to getting the most from my teachers, to doing my assignments diligently, to freelancing a lot while I was still at college. I think I was, probably one of the few people who used to kind of burn the midnight oil practically every day. I used to give myself like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but otherwise used to be constantly on assignments. But I do think that it all paid off. I thankfully graduated at the top of my class and was picked up by Arvind Brands of the Arvind Mills as their head designer for their Bangalore Arrow Lee Wrangler Flying Machine Excalibur. They had 8 brands at the time. I was picked up as their head designer when I was only 19 years old. And I think that was just such an exciting start to my journey. It was fabulous. I was aware that every decision that I made would impact the next 50,000 shirts or 10,000 trousers that were going to be made for a particular brand. And I think Arvind really gave me the sense of how a corporate works. It gave me the sense of what is it that makes the right decision, what is the right kind of sourcing, what are the methodologies of the industry, how is denim made, fabric yarn processing, like the whole scale of the operation was humongous. And I think to shoulder that kind of a responsibility when you're just 19 years old was a huge learning. That is also something that has instilled this huge corporate culture within me. I think the discipline, the kind of respect for technique, the respect for good wearable design and robust design that adds value to people's lives. Although it's always been my design ethos, I think my experience at Arvind really sort of seconded that. It doubled up that passion to create wearable clothes. From there, of course, I started my own label, and I started really, really small. I had about 30,000 rupees of savings from my job, from my salaries. And I started with one master, one tailor in a small room in Kothrood, where we started sort of cutting and sewing and draping and pattern making. And it was just him and me and experimenting and actually doing everything by yourself. So I was my own delivery boy. I was my own cleaner. I was my own fabric washing person. I was my own, and it was accountant, and it was so much fun because I actually got to understand every single process in to the T, to the detail. The first year and a half, 2 years, I didn't even have a single assistant. It was just sort of one karigar at a time. And when I had my first small showcase, like an exhibition showcase, I think the client response to that collection was amazing. And that's when I requested my mother that, Mom, I can't call these clients to this unpresentable sort of room in Kothrood. There's no trial room. There's no place for them to come and see the clothes. There's just this little one room workshop. Can I please call them to your living room? And I think it was crazy. It was the biggest mistake that she made ever, because she said, okay, fine, like put up one rack in my living room, and let's take it from there, but just for a while, and then you can move out. So from that one rack in my parents' house, I think it expanded to 2 racks, and then I got another tailor, and then it expanded to 3 racks, and then I got some hand embroidery guys to come and sit on the side. And then my family's always been into supporting a lot of social causes. So it's been instilled in me since I was young. So I started employing people who are, physically challenged, people with, disabilities, which were deaf and mute girls, which were people who couldn't work so well in other circumstances, and we started training them to do our beadwork. I learned their language. It was, I think, it was so outstanding to see them sort of stand up on their own. And all these years, they, some of them got married, left, had children, are having a flourishing life now. Some of them still work with us, and it's truly satisfying to see that how we've been able to change lives. The organization today, of course, impacts many thousand lives. And from there, from my mother's house, I think for the next 3 years, I sort of grew on with, one more person, one more person getting added to the team. And one fine day, my family was over for dinner at her house, and they said, if you don't throw out this girl right now, there's going to be sequins in your chapatis. So, so I think that was the last of me working from home. And then I got my first really small workshop. Then I took my first store on rent, and honestly, there was no looking back from there. Every challenge that came to me seemed more like an opportunity than like a risk. A lot of people ask me now that how did you take the risk of the Kalyani Nagar store? How did you take the risk of the Bombay store? How did you take the risk to travel abroad for shows? And I just felt like I think it seemed more like an opportunity that I had to pull up my socks and gear up to, and work harder, bring more to the table, make sure that I upgrade my skills and my knowledge every single day of my life, to make sure that I can cater to, I feel like I should be able to cater to a clientele that is completely educated, that understands design, that is globally traveled, that has no dearth of, which brand and where they can shop. And I feel like just that makes our entire organization be on their toes. Like, I think a House of Nivedita client that today shops with us has the ability and the choice to shop with an Armani, or to shop with a Yves Saint Laurent, or to shop with whoever else in the world, but they choose to shop with us because of the quality, the service, the product that we deliver to them. And that, I think, makes me and and the team really proud. Of course, the journey has been full of shows and showcases. We started with the Blenders Pride tour, was my first ever showcase. After that, I was appointed as head designer for the Commonwealth Games and the Commonwealth Youth Games merchandise and uniforms. I think that came as a huge understanding. I think that was also based on, how there was the need for a designer who understood the practicality of sportsmanship, movement, agility in the human body, and that could marry the understanding of that and comfort, and enhancing the skills of the human body with design. And I think that's very much my vision and ethos. So that, that came across really well. And after that, there was Pune Fashion Week, our first ever international showcase at London Fashion Week, then at the Cannes Film Festival, at Milan, at Paris, at Hong Kong, at Sri Lanka, at the Resort Week. So there's just been a lot that the brand has been doing. And recently, I was appointed as the founding curator for the World Economic Forum, for a hub in India, and where we're trying to drive the sustainable fashion cause, right across India and right across the globe. Our most recent feather in our cap has been that I've been appointed as a designer for Warner Brothers for India, and I think that's going to be a very exciting journey. So basically, putting India on the global map has always been close to my heart. It's been a quest that I think the team and me are very excited about. Every showcase, every little challenge has come with its learnings. I think I'm my own biggest critique, and I've learned over a period of time to kind of be kinder on myself and be kinder on the team, and say that it's it's only human and we will learn with every mistake, but to also celebrate our achievements, to also celebrate our journey, and which is something that I feel I never did before this, and that's something that the pandemic has also changed for me. So I would really urge all of you to be less hard on yourselves and to make sure that you celebrate the little victories in life. And it's been COVID has been, and I would like to give about 2-3 minutes. I would like to give about 2-3 minutes to this. The last 1.5 year has been again a year that has taught me and the team a lot of agility, a lot of responsiveness to the situation. So when stores shut down, our stores in on Jutara Road in Bombay, at Kalyani Nagar in Pune, online, all of our international showcases, pop-ups, everything shut down. And then I think when all the designers started making masks, we realized that we didn't want to do a run-of-the-mill product of a mask from leftovers of fabrics or fabric stocks that we held in-house and get rid of them. But I actually wanted to create a technically sound, absolutely safe product. Because if I was going to give this to the people that I cared about, to my parents, to my family, to my friends, to my loved ones, or to anybody else in the world, then it has to be a product that is certified. So we literally went through during the lockdown. I worked on 57 prototypes, sent the 58th prototype for certification. We got a 98.3% certified mask, which is now going to be titanium coated at 99.9%. And I think the creation of this product, which had so using design as as a language to create a product that will add value to human life, whether it was the three-dimensional fit of the mask, whether it was the oxygen carrying capacity, whether it was the filter that we imported from Germany, whether it was the fabric tencel, which was environmentally friendly. So everything about this product needed to be right. These masks have really helped us reach out to thousands of people, help our artisans, work on several initiatives during COVID, help out the girls in rural areas, help out the police force, help out so many different, so many different things we were able to do during COVID. The teams were busy; they were all upbeat. We connected really often, on Zoom calls, on team meeting calls, to make sure that everybody was okay. They were in great mental health. We all had stuff to do. So I do feel like design is such an important part of my life. Design is such an important part of the team's life. And now that stores have, sort of reopened again. So yes, this is a quick presentation of, how we created this mask. And we kind of eliminated the risk of rashes. The masks were fused under high temperature and pressure. So there was this entire gamut of research that went into a new product. And I think what this taught me, and what I would like to share with you today, is that even the smallest of product, which is, we didn't even price this high. We said that we want to do this to just keep everybody around us safe. And we started the pricing at 290 rupees, whereas the manufacturing cost was almost the same and greater than that, because we were supporting so many initiatives. So it was crazy that then people are loving these. The corporates started doing these for themselves, whether it was the political leaders, whether it was corporates, whether it was different institutes that wanted this customized to their requirement. But we kind of kept a really tight safety and sanitization sort of strictness in the quality assurance. And it's one of the most cost effective masks today ever, because it's reusable, it's environmentally friendly, it's washable. The cost per use comes down to almost nothing as compared to a disposable mask, and you don't end up littering the earth with this non biodegradable, non woven fabric that we're all using in disposable masks today. So it was just amazing. Yeah, if we can just quickly run through this. There was a size study. There was a sorry, can you show us the designs, Kim? There was a size study. There was lots of designs. We digitally printed them. So it's been a challenging but fun time. And now that the stores are opening again, I think the outlook towards couture has also shifted to comfort, to what what people would really enjoy wearing next to their skin. So it's been it's I think this journey has also changed design. It has changed the desire to work with a lot of fabrics and materials that are sustainable, that are friendly. I've been working so much with the SDC for dyes that are that are environmentally friendly, as to what even designers with setups like this, where you have about, say, 200 artisans that work with you, can do for using environmentally friendly dyes. And I think when these smaller setups and business houses like ours and designers like us start being so conscious about how they approach sustainability, which is not an end result but it's a process, I think it'll just make this world a better place. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hear from all of you. I'm sort of tired of hearing my own voice now. So I'm going to welcome in questions from all of you, so that I can answer them for you. And I think that'll be far more exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Nivedita, we'll just take some questions now, or we want to take it later on?
No, I can take them now.
Okay, just a second. I think they are all on mute mode. So what I will do is I'll just a second. I have to remove the mute mode. So anybody who wants to ask a question can just raise his hand, and I'll allow the mic to be unmuted to anybody. So if anybody wants to ask a question, please raise a hand, and I have removed the unmute, so anybody can just unmute himself and ask. So RB, can you just unmute yourself and ask?
Yeah, hi Nivedita. This is Rahul.
Rahul.
Hi,
Okay.
Rahul.
Yeah,
How are you? So
I'm
good to hear you and see that you're here.
I think same here. Been a while. I just wanted to ask you, could you please tell everyone what you do with sustainability and green fashion? That would be nice for people to know.
Of course, of course. So I think we've started working on our processes one by one, and I feel like whether it's wastage, whether it's the dyes that we use, whether it's management of every process to make sure that we're a sustainable organization, whether it's our procurement of fabric, our procurement from vendors who are fair trade. Uh, the organization is completely slavery free through its entire blockchain, and we're very conscious and cautious about that. I'm also working on a new athleisure and Pret brand, which is going to be, where luxury and, casual wear sort of marries each other. So that is going to be a brand that is completely, completely sustainable. We're also procuring from sources where entire facilities and the collaborations that we're looking at there will be with the industry, with craftspeople, with sectors that are completely sustainable. So Rahul, honestly, I look at sustainability as a process. We also don't create fast fashion at all, which is a huge part of being sustainable. I feel like if a person, like even when a client walks in, we make the entire process of, either them picking up a garment or them ordering it from us, and how the same garment can be used in probably 6 to 7 different versatile ways. So it's not like a one time use and never use again kind of a garment process, which also then helps us make sure that the life of the garment, for which an artisan has put in so many number of man hours, is sustained through the client's lifetime or through generations, and they find different uses for that. So I feel like we're in the process of, yes, be the change you want to see. Thank you. We also figured out a way to work with Parkinson's patients. We found, I've very passionately worked with blind schools, with deaf and mute organizations, with organizations which have mentally challenged people, and created clothing solutions for them to make sure that we can add value to their lives. So it's going to be a constant upgradation. Like, it's going to be how we correct every process through every day, every week, and every month that we do. But we're hoping that very soon, right from the source of the silk and the cotton that we procure from, to the finished product, and how we retail it and how many times a consumer uses it, we're hoping that we're on the right path to create a completely sort of sustainable organization. And Rahul, I'm looking forward to working with you on this cause more than ever.
Thank you. We'll do that later separately. Thank you.
Fawad, you want to ask anything? Fawad Nuri is from Pakistan. He helps us SDC a lot. Best friends. Fawad, you can
Nice
unmute
to meet you,
yourself.
Fawad.
Probably he is not online. Okay. So I think anybody else? Yeah, Fawad?
Hi Yogesh. Hi Navidita.
Hi, Fawad. So nice to hear from you.
Yeah, same here. Just would like to say a little bit about your achievements and your journey. It's really inspiring for our students as well, and for all of us. I really congratulate you what you have done and what you are doing under fashion sustainability. I just want to share that I'm a creative design head of a global sustainable fashion week, and I really love to see you in our event probably next year. And I will share the details with you. Yogesh know me very well from last many years. I worked together in SDC. I will work for as a design consultant of SDC Pakistan. So really, thank you very much for sharing this inspiring.
Thank you, Fawad. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to connecting with you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Fawad. I think if there are no other questions, we will then move on to our next presenter. So I think our next presenter is equally fascinating, and we have been knowing for a long time. She's the one who represents SDC in Bangladesh for the design college, for the design competitions. She was even a judge for the SDC competitions in UK. One of my best friends in Bangladesh. She has been very cooperative for our competitions. I think I would like her to speak more about her, because she has so much more to tell. So without wasting much of time, let me present to you Afsana Firdausi. Afsana?
Hello everyone. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a moment. Can you see my window? Hello, can you see my window?
Yeah, I can see your window. How did I get here? No problem.
Perfect. Hello everyone.
Yes, we can see.
Hello everyone. This is Afsana. Thank you all for joining, and I'm really glad to be here. My story of how I started my journey in fashion industry is a bit different and funny. To be honest, I never thought I would be a fashion designer. I grew up in a family where fashion didn't exist. It was a very, very typical middle class family where family wants their child to be a doctor or an engineer. So my whole childhood and teenage time, my parents always bought my clothes and I had no interest in fashion as well. It will be funny to hear that I even didn't know anything about the fashion designers. So, however, my destiny adored me so much that it gave me a gift of passion. Moreover, with that passion, I have to know what I like the most. But this didn't happen in the very first place, as I didn't know what I want to be. Interestingly, like most of the Bengali girls, I dreamed to be a homemaker with kids, and that's really funny because when people ask me, really you wanted to be a homemaker, then now you became a fashion designer. So anyway, I'm not going to start how I ended up in BOFT, but I certainly ended up in the best fashion institute in Dhaka back then. But the moment I admitted in fashion designing department, Gradually, my passion reveals like flipping every page of the designing book. Eventually, I discovered that this is the sector I want to build my career. I started dreaming each day, almost all the time. I devoted my all interest towards fashion designing and hitting upon numerous plans to materialize every single dream of mine. Luckily, I was getting opportunities and invitation and appraisal from home and abroad. That was the start, and after that, I have earned so much love and recognition that inspires me to work hard to make something amazing and remarkable. So I would love to share my few stories and experience in this journey. So in 2010, when I was in university, that time I was in a second semester. So I created my first collection for European Union Student Fashion Competition, where I was the most youngest participant with a collection of clothes made by the country's finest silk. So when I won the contest, I felt I had achieved something special as a designer. This was the first milestones in my way towards being a successful designer. But I was so wrong basically. So my turning point was the moment I started researching for SDC International Student Design Competition 2011, and which theme was reduce, reuse, recycle. I still can remember I actually didn't want to submit my boards due to some personal reason. And few of my friends, they asked me, you should. And then I submitted. And that was one of the best decisions for my life. I would love to encourage students to participate every competition, not because you want to win, because you want to discover new things through the process. You will learn so many things, because when I started, I thought, I didn't think anything. I didn't realize that I can do this. So, and when I got to know that I was the regional winner and went to Hong Kong for the finale, this feeling still I can remember. I was the girl who never visits any places, even in my own country, except Dhaka, and I'm going to abroad. So when I was awarded the first runner-up in the global competition, and this is the first time actually Bangladesh has won the global competition. So that time I realized how much I could do if I spent my entire life working on this. And that is when I discovered my newfound passion in sustainable fashion and its impact on fashion and environment. So fast fashion actually lost its charm when I felt this connection with nature and realized my obligation towards people. And since then, I'm trying to learn and work with more sustainable and ethical way. And since 2016, I'm working as a country coordinator for this competition, as Yogesh already told you. And in 2018, attending the same competition held in UK was even more exciting. This was a proud moment for me because a girl who was a contestant before was now playing the role of a judge in the same platform. So, and I was an international speaker in SDC International Conference where I shared my journey as a fashion designer and current situation about our river. As we know that, like, if you know about Bangladesh, that we have lots of river, but nowadays all the rivers are dying because of the chemical of RNG industry and tannery industry. So I talk about our responsibilities regarding these and my dreams of making a better world. So I would love to tell students that now there are so many opportunities out there for you. If you really love your passion and love for your work, believe me, your destiny will take you there. And a few months later, I was working as a designer in a ready-made garments industry and started to learn how to design and production process going on there. As we all know, Bangladesh is the second largest manufacturing country in ready-made garments industry. And many people don't know that we not only make the clothes, we also provide the design as well. And there are so many companies who has now a big setup with designers, and they support their buyer with their own design. I can still remember my second day at work, I did an all-over print for a Turkish buyer, and the brand name was Collins. So, and this design got selected, and when I see the final product, it had given me the inspiration to continue my work here. So if you want to show your creative idea in this ready-made garments industry, there are opportunity here as well. I believe like India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, we have so many good companies who has their own design setup. So you can apply and you can get the opportunities from them. So now it's been 9 years I'm working in this ready-made garments industry, and currently I'm working for Next, a British clothing brand. So I work there as a product developer and designer. And Next is one of the company where I'm learning more about COP, sustainability for bulk production, and working with recycle and sustainable materials. And beside my experience in the ready-made garments industry, I have my own sustainable clothing label, which name is Afsana Firdausi. And I do my all fashion show, exhibition, research work under this brand. Though this is the most challenging position of my journey, so I was actually living two parallel lives. In one, I was driven by the fast-paced fashion industry, like running from season to season, like a racehorse, and creating regular garments in the cheapest possible cost, and all to satisfy the difficult customers sitting in the opposite ends of the world. And in the other hand, I was the crazy activist and researching and day and night experimenting with new issues and ethical manufacturing techniques, and taking every opportunity to showcase them, to spread my message all over the world. So last year, just before COVID-19, I showcased my collection in Tresemme Bangladesh Fashion Week 2020. I aim at promoting animal rights and the biodiversity of the Sundarban. I think we all know, India, we have one part Sundarban, and in Bangladesh we have another part. So through my design, I actually try to show the biodiversity of the Sundarbans. I deeply feel the connection that prevails among all the living beings, preciously more in between human and nature. Even every man and woman represents the story of animal kingdom, where they are living like a life that more like a heaven, which we sometimes dreamed of. So I have chosen all the sustainable material and all over surface ornamentation by our Nokshi Katha. It's a traditional Bangladeshi embroidery. And while developing and making the best the design wear, I infuse the sustainability concept in my every pieces, from scratch to ramp. And to present that, I brought the local mythical character. It's called Bon Bibi, to protector of Sundarbans, in my designs, to express that our mother nature can no longer bear any more damages. So it is time to show her some compassion, take some responsibilities, and it is time to act through love. And I love to do experiments, and I love our traditional things a lot, and our country is very iconic and traditionally and culturally. So when I work with our own motif, I I try to keep it original, but I give them a new makeover with many new extra elements. Like this is one of my Potachito collection. I took colors and shape based on how they were originally made, and I mixed my own story. The story of Khadi since the Mughal period to present day, and made my own Potachito story. So, and in 2015, I went to Berlin for an international professional collaboration project. And after that, we did an exhibition in Berlin where I showcased my upcycling collection, where each of my t-shirts were talking about globalization. And I would love to share one thing, that this t-shirt actually I collect from our garments industry, which was wastage, because there are some holes, some stains, so they just threw it away. So I collected it and I gave them a new look with my upcycling method. And the color I have used a real indigo and a shibori technique. So you can see that the message, but I try to tell people through my collection. And in 2017, I did a fashion show in Malaysia where my whole collection talked about from global warming to social issues like abusing, drug, racism, and so on, to create awareness about the saving animals, trees, river, and etc. So each year, my brand at least do one collection which talks about issues and protest through the designs. And there are so many collections I did like this. You can say AF tells story through her collection, and I showcase my collection from home to India, Malaysia, Hong Kong, England, Germany, Mexico, Hong Kong, and yeah. And many people asked me that how I find my theme for my work. And interestingly, very often it comes from nowhere, but comes from within. I just start my work and looking for elements that touch my heart. And more importantly, I do a lot of research before start any project. Whenever I start doing my collection, I play with elements and my thoughts. So that's India in 2017. Yeah, it's so you can see this like young, wild, and drug-free. So we always try to do something because when we do fashion show exhibition, there is a huge crowd and the media was there. So this is the perfect place to talk about your thoughts and. In the fashion industry, I played actually several roles. So before COVID, I attended WorldSkill in 2019 as a fashion expert in Russia. And this is the first time Bangladesh has participated. And you can say I'm the first Bangladeshi who worked as a fashion expert in the global scale competition and worked as a chief fashion expert in Bangladesh WorldSkill since 2018. So last year I have met so many people from India as well, because in Bangladesh we actually went there with two categories. One is fashion and another is patisserie. But in India, I think there were like 3 categories, and there are so many people, and I don't feel like that I'm in Russia actually. I feel like that I'm with my cousins. So yeah, and. I want to share one thing. It's not about my fashion. It's just a very personal thing. Like when pandemic has started worldwide, we all had to stay at home, and we faced a new lifestyle, and it impacts us a lot mentally. And I was not out of either, and I couldn't able to run my business and no traveling and staying at home whole day with my cats and no office, and it's really totally different things because I love to travel and I'm just staying at home. But one day I have started to do something which not only boost my mind It gives me a new passion, which I would love to continue my whole life, and will incorporate with my fashion as well. So my next collection is about this stippling design. So you can see that it's all about the situation about COVID. And so it's a fashion show because being a fashion designer, it's in 2 years we are not doing any fashion shows and exhibitions. So this kind of life we are not doing. So I started to do something with that. So people ask me always that how could you do all those things? Well, the secret is I don't do all the things together. I usually choose those things which I can do beside my full-time job. As I already told you guys that I work with Next. So it's Monday to Friday. I'm busy with another corporation and I have my own label. So it's so tough for me, but I try my best. And one of the main reasons is passion and love towards fashion. And for students, I would love to share a few things that most people think that to be a successful fashion designer, you need to be good at sketching or pattern or sewing or draping. So actually, sketching and sewing are not absolutely necessary to be a super good at. So these are not on my list. I would say challenge yourself and always try to push forward, but stay honest to yourself. Do a lot of research, read and learn about new developments and technological advancement in the field to be able to create innovative products that serve a specific need in the market, and learn about new yarn and circular fashion. There are so many things. If you start the SDC, you will see that there are so many scientists who work with the colors, and you will learn a lot if you do a research. And you don't just simply need to be a good artist, but also require brilliant eyes for super details. This is the very important thing. If you don't have the eyes for your details, then you have to work on these. And you don't need to be a super woman or man as a fashion designer to multitask, because you have got a million things going on at once. And I would therefore like to call on our young generation to leave their comfort zones, break their invisible walls, and explore the real challenge of humanity. Because together we can make a difference. And last but not the least, love our mother nature and love all the animals. And that's that's all from me. And yeah. Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't know that my video was mute. I just realized that.
So thank you, Afsana. It was a fantastic, fantastic listening to you.
You should tell me. I didn't see that my video was mute. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So I think we can take the Q&A now. So anybody who has a question can raise their hands. Do we have any questions? Fawad? Mr. Manoj Samuel is there from Aditya Group, Birla Group. Okay, so I think, are you able to raise your hands? Yeah, so Fawad basically is wishing you good luck. So I think we'll move on to the next speaker. Correct? So that was a fantastic presentation from Afsana, a real life journey, such an inspiring journey from somebody who has just had no idea what fashion is, to now they're now calling the shots in fashion of sustainability, and she's impressing so many people across the globe. So certainly she was a judge for the design competition, and Sampari, who's a torchbearer of the SDC in Bangladesh for design. We bring you now the next speaker, Hina Gandhi. Uh, Hina Gandhi is also been a judge in to the design competition in India. She has a very interesting journey, and I could talk a lot. A personal friend, and definitely, I think we need to listen from her about her journey. Hina, are you online?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, can you just unmute and put your video on, so I can, till then, I can prepare your presentation. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me? Can you see the video?
No, I can. Do you want me to share, or you can share it?
Yeah, I
No.
think, you share it.
Okay. You can start talking. Till then, I can just, because it will take some time for me to do this.
Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you, SDC, for offering opportunity to share my professional insights and inspiration with students and fashion fraternity. It has always been passionate, contributing for the students' point of view, the judging
हिना,
that I have.
तेरा वॉल्यूम थोड़ा बढ़ा.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. Or you take the mic a little bit closer to your.
Yeah, I think now that's better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Yogesh, and thank you, STC, for offering me this opportunity to share my professional insights. It's been a long journey of 21 years doing various collections and contributing to students, where I have done presentations on behalf of STC for online, judging students on their portfolio, contributing to colleges for their presentations. And recently also I had trained the trainers program for one of the best colleges of fashion. It's always fun to make a difference to the students, because I remember when I was a student, we never had this access to the internet where we can connect so easily. And we never had the access to the media or you can say we are connected to the universe in such a short way. Regarding my journey, I would say that it's been through various positions, various contributions, where I have worked from lingerie, menswear, exports, designing, beadwork, doing retail. I have taken experience in most of the things. Currently, Yogesh, can we proceed with the slides?
Yeah.
Currently, I am working as a head of design and global sourcing for Rilo Industries and GCH Industries, where I am doing the creative design. We take care of collections from lingerie, loungewear, t-shirts, pajamas, and sleepwear and activewear. And we are expanding our collections to various other outerwear categories, where we are available pan-India in all the multi-branded outlets. So it's a real journey where there is breakdowns every minute, while toggling between different collections, toggling between designs and sourcing. But it's real fun when you are really passionate. Currently, I focus on lingerie and intimate wear category, where most of my designs form the core of the lingerie, and our collections are presented on the website. And Yogesh will just show you few of the collections that we have made, and how it does matter when you have to include your sourcing, your cost, your product uniqueness, to see to it that every collection and every design gets part of the core category. And also it does bring forth the sales for a sales turnover for the industry.
Should I start the video?
Yeah, sure, please. Yogesh, we can see the video. This is one of the shoots that I had done for the loungewear. And it was very interesting experience where you have to guide the makeup artist, the stylist, the model, and you have to empower the whole team to bring forth the best in the best of the collection in the shoot. Yogesh, it's not audible.
Aina?
I don't know. I think it's the video is not completely displayed. I don't think it was really audible.
Okay. So
All right, no problem. Let's proceed ahead.
Yeah.
Next, connecting to the next collection that is of we have launched a new brand called Kianto, and you can just demonstrate the bra category that the collection includes. Yogesh, can we have the PDF, please?
Yeah. Can you see on the screen?
That's the collection for the 2019 prior to the pandemic. And this collection forms the core of the brand. Can we proceed, Yogesh? That's one of the padded designs, and it's been a tremendous success for us. It is really challenging dealing with lingerie where there are so many substrates and components, and we are dealing with color. And there are breakdowns in every chain, not only regarding the color matching, but then also regarding the sourcing and sourcing components, sourcing fabric, and it's really challenging and inspiring. And I would really encourage all these students to come forward to become a part of the lingerie industry as their career. Can we proceed, Yogesh? That's one of our balconette designs. That was the photo shoot done. And it displays how we could wear the straps in different ways. It's just explaining about the garments, wired garments, non-wired garments. Lingerie has always been challenging. I have been through a lot of categories, but I guess lingerie was my passion and my calling. Can we proceed, Yogesh?
Yeah. COVID.
So here we see that there are a lot of designs which is having a lot of other components. That was another design, Switchers by Undercover, where I had designed a collection of lingerie where the cups and the backs and the straps could be interchanged. And everybody needn't really buy different collections for every occasion. So in this, I had designed the cups in such a manner that the cups could have been interchanged with the color of the garment. The back could be something fancy, and it had these loops which could, attach straps in various positions in various ways, and it could be seen through because it's just like a fashion. Everybody wants to show through their lingerie these days as a part of their outerwear. My next slide will show you the different kind of designs that I had done on the CADs for backs, which could also be interchangeable, where we could have deep backs and deeper or maybe backless silhouettes. It just shows as a part of a garment. So these were the few detachable backs that I had designed. And again, done with digital printing using different kind of fabrics. And one of the most interesting projects in freelancing. So in freelancing also what I bring forth is that for students' point of view, when we do get freelancing projects, it's very important to consider what exactly the client is looking for. Now, for this particular project of mine, the client was very specific that this is what she wanted to design a garment which could not only be used as a common cup, common back, we could have some variations. So we decided to do a detachable collection, and it came out to be a very interesting concept which I guess is then patented. So what I bring forth is during freelancing, students really need to consider taking up different kind of collections, venturing into different avenues of sourcing, venturing into different designs, and then putting up a show or putting up a category which is cost basis, sustainable, as well as approved for the buyers. Can we have the next slide, Yogesh? Yeah, this was another company that I had contributed for lingerie as a head buyer, where we had a collection put up by the Italians, and we had one collection also from the teams of the Filipinos, which had contributed to do the collections for the brand. In this company, what I had contributed was not only the sourcing, but this was where we had introduced the CAD system, which is very important, where we are going from manual sketching to or more of computerized CAD making. And we had introduced CAD systems, improvised the cutting sections, and improvised the sewing sections to achieve the best of the productions. Just a few images of what I had undertaken as a design for menswear, and put up some collections over here for you to see as just an inspiration board, just while starting off a new shoot. Next slide, Yogesh. Yes, this was the menswear journey where I had contributed doing men's t-shirt, and I mean, I just love doing graphics. I love working on color. So doing the t-shirt range for Provoke was one of another very exciting journey where it was it was fulfilling when you see your designs being worn by people, you know, wherever you are traveling. I used to travel for my work for Ludhiana and Tirupur and, you know, even internationally, and it was fun to spot my t-shirts seen all over across the airport or the railway station. Can we just see a few of her collections, Yogesh? This was one of the shoots that I had done for a spring, summer, and an autumn winter collection, where we had done a lot of jackets, a lot of t-shirts, different kind of designs, different kind of graphics, different kind of fabrics, introducing different techniques of designs. And that time, the brand was not having the casual category very prominent. After introducing this collection, it had really picked up the sales in the casual wear, and it was real fun dealing with the breakdowns of color matching and different kind of you know, qualities of printing and techniques, and introducing that in every new collection for the every season. I had done a lot of hoodie jackets, wing sheeters. This was another shoot when Ritik had just joined the industry as a film artist, and we had done this shoot where I'm depicting my hoodie collection, the casual wear collection for menswear. These are just some CADs to represent how we had the collections presented just before the launch of the season. And after doing the sampling and a round of pre-production sampling and the presentations, finally the collections were launched, and then there were these sales meets, and you had the review of every season. So it's been real fun journey. Can we just see some more CADs? This was again another hoodie with a lot of embroidery. So it was really challenging dealing with the prints, the embroidery. There used to always be different kind of breakdowns because, again, cost was very important while considering the MRP in mind. I've just introduced a few more slides. Yeah, that's like the graphic, and that's the embroidered part of the design. So that was the music theme actually that I was working on that time. That's one of the t-shirts where it also had a lot of branding involved. So I mean, we got to design the branding for the rivets, for the buttons. It used to be the Munio for the t-shirts, the pocketing, the different kind of, you know, the t-shirt layout with a lot of lapels, a lot of graphics. And that's how we could bring forth one of the unique collections even for this particular season. That's another collection for different silhouettes, different techniques. The cobalt had a flocking, I remember, yes, and the maroon had the transfer flocking. So, you know, when we venture into any collections, it's just a journey. So it's like till you do not get into doing the work on the court, we'll not really realize how well we are at that particular collection. So as a student, I never had anybody to really inspire me or teach me, or how these kind of webinars that used to be held, I think they are really contributing to the maximum, you can say, information for the students and the support. Everybody is reachable, you know, and it is real fun to connect to anybody in the world how we could contribute by taking in their support and help and, bring up a collection. So as a student, this was the time when I had just started off this in this particular company. And that's how I realized that t-shirt was another category that I love working on bright colors and, again, introducing new techniques of work. Next slide, Yogesh. These were some hoodies, again, in yarn dyed stripes. Then there were these badges. Then we had a lot of branding to do with the internal of the hoodies. So just another collection again for the winters. These were some wing sheeters that I had done for Provoke. So again, it's like, again, dealing with prints, what kind of printing would happen on a wing sheeter, what kind of fabrics that we could be using. These days, we have a lot of different kind of fabrics that have come in, which could also, I mean, this was way back in 2006, that time we had just different collections and then put up a branding. This is how I could put up the collection, how these were the jackets that would look good as per the requirement of the brand, which was very loud. Next. There are a lot of rebranching portfolios that I have undertaken for women's wear, men's wear, nightwear, t-shirts, lingerie, and it's been a real thrilling experience. This is some collections that I had done for ladies' t-shirts. So just depicted some graphics for you where different techniques of heat transfers that could have been adapted on the t-shirts for women. Different colors, different silhouettes, different cuts, different necklines, different kind of sleeves. Now again, putting up a collection as per the buyer's requirement. Can we proceed? This was a bit of a couture wear. Yes, this is when I had done the designing of beadwear. Beadwork and you can say embellishments where I used to design the beadwork and adapt it on footwear uppers, which used to be exported to UK and Argentina. And then we later adapted on footwear and launched a footwear brand in India and got a collection where we could have a matching footwear and a bag. So this was also a wonderful experience where I could contribute my talent and designs, considering the beadwork on the couture wear. I had done a lot of beadwork designing for brands like Hollywood Dreams, where we had designed the collection, and the application of beadwork was then sent to the buyer, and the buyer would send us a particular layout where the beadwork need to be done. And it was very challenging, again, doing different qualities, different colors, considering the costs. So what this is some of the collection that we have done for footwear, different kind of beads which were used, and sometimes the buyer used to set the cross pair kind of beads, so Roskis, and it was real fun working on this project as well. So application of beadwork in different ways on shoes, bags, apparel. Again, that's to do with resham embroidery. So that's also was real fun to undertake. That's some of the footwear uppers which were lined with leather or maybe non-leather rexine, and then exported, and the footwear was then manufactured in Argentina or Italy. So that was a bit of a retail experience I got before I actually started off my journey to realize that what kind of collection is really challenging. Selling denims, menswear, ladies wear, women's wear. It was fun, being on the front where we get to handle customers and realize what is the exact requirement of the market. So this particular multi-branded outlet that I was actually taking an experience to see what kind of collections are the in thing. I had designed a range of a nightwear for the store, and just wanted to check, how it would. So this was like very initial days in 2002, 2003, and I had introduced the printing technique, different cuts and silhouettes during then, and we had put up the collection. Yes. Currently, I am undertaking my advanced course and studies further ahead with IA Technical for various kind of brassiers, core bras, plus fit bras, sports bras. From a designer point of view, what is important for the students to know is just designing is not enough. Till you are not having a knowledge a bit about pattern making, sketching and compiling things is just not it. it has to be that we got to have a knowledge about the pattern making, how we adapt the patterns, what kind of patterns requires what kind of fabrics, what kind of components, considering the cost. So there is a lot involved in this whole collection of lingerie, which is now my forte, and I would be pursuing my career in this particular field. So that's a little about me and my experience, and I would really appreciate to answer any other queries.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was a huge journey from retail to intimate wear. So Nivedita, Afsana, Hina, can you all put on your videos on? Anybody who has a question with to question for Hina or any of the three, just put up your hands. I will just enable the mic now. Yeah. So anybody has a question, can just raise your hands. Okay. So one question I would like to ask all of you, which may be of interest for students. What is the most important advice you would give to a designer, to a designer students who wants to take the first step in this industry as an entrepreneur, not as an employee, but as an entrepreneur? What is the advice that you will give to a designer? We'll start with Afsana. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I've already told you that you need a very brilliant eyes for all the detailings. It's from the fabric, stitching, embroidery, print, and everything about fashion. You have to know the details about all those things. You know about the technology, and nowadays everything is open for you because of internet. You can learn from anywhere. So I would love to say that learn a lot and experience, do the experimental things, and
I think we lost you. Yeah, Hina, can you start with your reply?
From an entrepreneur point of view, I did start my career as an entrepreneur where I had launched my collection under the brand name called Dohas. That was way back in 2000. And that's what actually had a very challenging experience for sourcing and compiling the collection, introducing different kind of qualities of fabrics, and doing a casual range of, you can say, Indian Indo-Western wear. So what I really would bring forth to the students is that till we do not come on and do up a range, we will really not understand what challenges are we going to be facing. So there are always going to be breakdowns there every minute, dealing with costings, dealing with sourcing, dealing with supply, dealing with sales. So it's been that I have never really given up. So even as an entrepreneur, I'm sure whether it's from an entrepreneur point of view, whether it's from an employee's point of view, an employer's point of view, what I see for what is the most important part to consider is the costing, the unique collection, the collection that has had the maximum reach for sales, and it has to be unique. I mean, and that's what the students need to be self-empowered. You got to design a collection and maybe showcase it. Now we have, as we have seen with the different presenters, how we have different showcases being presented all across the world, and even digital. Like when I was doing an online collection for the couture wear, I had started an online store as an entrepreneur and wanted to see how well it was accepted internationally. And sitting in India that time, I never really knew the tricks of the game, you know, how it would be to import, how it would be to export, how do you deal with the quotations, how you deal with the costings, how you deal with the process, how it happens. So what we had done is I had designed the footwear and I had made up an online store where we were exporting footwear to Italy and Argentina. That was also Indian sizes. So what has never really stopped me is never really give up in anything that we are doing. There has been a lot of breakdowns in all these different categories that I have, got my experience into. But what we bring forth is very important. So that is what I suggest to students is till you do not really do something, you will not really realize what's your passion and what is it that actually you would want to do. So that is what I suggest to students is, just give it your best and be self-empowered because there is lots to do and lots to learn in this industry. I'm still learning, as I would say.
That's a great advice. Nivedita, are you on? So I don't think she is.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Very much.
Can you just advise young designers who want to be an entrepreneur like you?
Yes, I think I completely agree with what both our speakers have said. And I do feel like, perseverance, being at it constantly, no matter what, and trying to improve yourself with every single day, every single operation, every single, design that you do, where you yourself start feeling like your design sensibility from or your designs from like last week were passe as compared to your designs today. And I think that quality of constant perseverance and never giving up is really, really important for an entrepreneur. I think Hina covered the technical aspects of how to sell, what it requires to become a commercially viable brand. And I do feel like just motivating one's own self, remaining true to your design sensibility, remaining true to your true to your own position without being a copycat of any other designers under the name of being inspired, and at the same time making sure that you create a benchmark for yourself and find your own niche is really important for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea, advice that you have given. When we do a design competition talk, I always tell the students, if you want to insert yourself, the best way to insert yourself is to copy someone else.
That's true. I agree with you, Yogesh.
So, so just be original. Whatever you are, it's just you are unique. Don't try to copy it. Just don't Google everything.
And there's a market out there for everybody's design sensibility. So
Yeah.
I don't think any designer who's true to themselves and owns their own design sensibility, I don't think they can ever fail.
In fact, the last How Did I Get Here, which we did in UK, for the London region, there was a designer who actually got for a design project for the Warner Brothers, which was a dinner. Actually, it was a dinner, and it didn't happen because of COVID, but she did show the design on the screen, and it was very big. So she had to just like zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and then you have to she shown the screen, but she had actually got the project for the Warner Brothers. So I mean, the world is very small.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have you also connecting with the Warner Brothers. So yeah, I mean, today's evening was fantastic. Three legends. Afsana, my sister in Bangladesh. I mean, she is fantastic. Whenever you meet her, she connects so well with people. Yeah. So Hina, of course, a very very innovative story. Somebody who's so passionate about innovative wear. Nivedita, of course, evergreen. From nothing to really great achievements in fashion. So we will be taking ahead this great initiative. I think many people liked it. So we would be introducing designers to the students, how their journey is, so that the designers and the students can benefit from it. So I thank everybody for attending this webinar on behalf of the SDC India family, the SDC UK family, on behalf of SDC International, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, UK, from all of us, really thank you for coming, for attending this webinar, and we will keep you abreast with really good designers in this field, so that you can learn from the stories. So thank you very much. Thank you all the speakers, Hina, Afsana, and Nivedita. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you, Afsana. Thank you, Hina, for sharing such inspiring stories, and hoping to connect with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just end the meeting. Thank you.